back in 2001, I had several things published in the Neopian Times. We're gonna be reading the Neopets fanfic. Here we have Fields of Green. I don't remember much of this. A long time ago, way, way back to the time before there were no owners, when it was just Neopia Central, no Fairyland, no Tyrania, no Mystery Island, no nothing. There was no Battle Dome, and there weren't very many items. I'm gonna make this bigger so that we can all see it on screen. But back to that long ago land. It was a time when Neopia was just one great landmass divided into several smaller kingdoms. There were 16 to be exact, although 3 were so tiny that they only mattered at social gatherings. There were 4 main kingdoms: Arpans, Nova, Lapil, and Histak. What is with me in naming things as a child? Nova was known as a country full of great warriors. Arpans was known to keep to themselves and help everyone, which is hard to do when you're keeping to yourself. Lapil was known to be under evil influence and mean to just about everyone. And Histak was just doing its best to stay on everybody's good side. Lapil was run by King Olcan and his wife, Sandrika. Olcan was the evil one. The rest of Lapil was probably full of ordinary people, but no one who went there lived to tell about it. Alex was from Histak. He was always being teased. He was a green Gellert, which is this dog creature. Had 16 siblings! I mean, I guess he's a dog, so that... okay. He was shy and wasn't going to inherit anything. His other siblings were important. Each of them was being trained to be a member of the royal court, even though only Asa, the oldest son, was going to take over the country. Alex was being trained to be the commander of an army, though, as Jared, one of the noble sons, often reminded him, he was too shy and weak to ever become a fighter. Why? Why is Jared the reoccurring evil man, the bully in all of my... I don't think I've ever known someone named Jared. I don't know why. Anyways. He was, not to mention, he was 11, which was quite young to be training for battle. Alex is 11. He tried his best, though, doing what his teachers told him and following every bit of advice he got. He never could get the hang of it, though, and was always making a fool of himself. Jared from Subway Hats must have had an impact. He was too ordinary. He wasn't mean, and he wasn't exceptionally nice either. He was just plain. Especially when it came to people. Everyone, whether of nobility or not, he treated as politely as possible. This included servants. They brought his meals to his room. He didn't like eating at the formal dining hall, and he treated them kindly. He wasn't a favorite amongst the workers at the palace, but he wasn't one they dreaded, unlike Jared. He never thought much about servants because they had always been there. They were just there, sort of like gravity and air. You stop appreciating them after a while. But all that changed when, oof, he ran into Jackie. "Watch it, you little slime ball. You should watch where you're going," a girl's voice said from the ground in front of him. "Me? You were the one stomping around just like an elephant," which is the elephant Neopet. The prince dusted himself up and stood up just as the girl was. "Oh, your highness!" She stumbled into a kneel at his feet. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know it was you." "Oh, get up, I don't care. It was an accident. Get up." She jumped to her feet and laughed. "What? You have a leaf wrapped around your ear?" Alex wiggled his ear and the leaf came free. He took a moment to look at the Kiri he had just ran into. I have to remember what a Kiri is. Hold on. I think they're like the eagles, aren't they? Oh. They're this thing. I don't even... what kind of animal is that? It's just some kind of mammal. Okay. She's this. She's a Kiri. Oh no. He took a moment to look at the Curie he had just ran into. She had bright red hair falling in curls all over her face. She had sparkling green eyes that looked like emeralds. She was quite a, different looking Curie. What's your name? Jackie. You're the youngest son, right? Prince Alexia of Histak, I believe. Just call me Alex. Just then, they heard the loud shouts of a fat yellow Mincy, which is the monkey one, running across the hall. Hey, weakling, wait up! Oh no! Jared! Alex winced and decided to wait for the attack. Jared's fat now, apparently. He's not super hot and smells like smoke. This is a Mincy, by the way. They're just little monkeys. Little monkeys. Oh no, Jared! Alex winced and decided to wait for the attack. You're not just gonna stand there, are you? Jackie asked. Hearing the hideous bellows of the obese Mincy, damn, had made him forget she was standing there. What else can I do? She rolled her eyes. Come on! She grabbed his ear and began running. It was all Alex could do to just try and keep up. She ran out into the wide courtyard surrounding the palace. She ran to the corner where a wall of hedges surrounded a beautiful grove and shoved him in a bush. Comfortable? No. Too bad. Hide there. They pick on you much? Yeah, all the time. And you don't defend yourself? They're better than me at everything. I'm not too good of a fighter anyway. Nonsense. You're the one who's gonna grow up and be some sort of commander, aren't you? Just because you're being trained for something doesn't mean you're brilliant at it. Besides, you wouldn't know the first thing about how hard it is. You've probably never touched a sword in your life. She made a rather annoyed sigh. You keep saying that and you'll never be good at anything. Gee, you're real encouraging. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. They sat there talking, and Jackie told him she was the cook's helper and that everyone in the palace thought she was obnoxious. While Alex told her about how Jared and his two friends are always being mean to him and all about life as a prince. I wish I were a princess. It must be very easy being something of nobility. Actually, it's not, said Jared as he came through the hedge, followed by Theo and Arcane, like two loyal disciples ought to. Jackie jumped up and made a yellow bird appear on her finger. What? She stroked its head and then let it go, trying to make it look like she had been talking to the bird all along. Hey, servant, have you seen the weakling? Pardon me? Oh, come on, that horrible prince who thinks he can fight. There are a lot of princes that live here, 7 in fact. Don't get cute with me. I demand to know where the weakling is, and you know which one I'm talking about. Jackie plunged her hand into the hedge and grabbed Alex's sword, which he carried always. At the sight of a sword, Jared backed away as Theo and Arcane drew out their swords. She blocked their attacks with Alex's sword, then swirled in between them and grabbed Jared's sword right out of its hilt. She blocked Arcane's attacks with the sword in her right hand, Alex's, and Theo's attacks with Jared's in her left. She finally knocked their swords away, and the two went running. She pressed Alex's sword at Jared's throat and threw the other sword down at her side. I don't know any weakling princes. I know of 7 who are very good princes, and I know one who's hiding in a bush from a nerdy little nobody who thinks he's better than him. Come out here, Alex. Alex scrambled out of the hedge, covered in leaves. Jared laughed. Oh, great, now you're getting servant girls to defend you? He grabbed his sword from the ground and was hoping to catch Jackie off guard, but she knocked it out of his hand. It spun at Alex's feet. Jackie pressed the sword closer to Jared. Oh, you know, if Alex there told his father what you were doing to him, he could have your head cut off. Jared sucked in a breath and stood perfectly still. Now, apologize. To who? Whoever you think needs to be apologized to. I'm sorry. To who? Alex. Who? He sighed. His Highness, Prince Alex of Histak. Much better. And what for? He sighed again. For calling him names. Anything else? Teasing him. And tossing him in the castle moat, for putting a pin on his seat at the formal dinner 2 weeks ago, for stealing a sword, for carving his and Skira's name in a heart on the drawbridge, for chasing him around the castle, for not treating him with respect. Am I forgetting anything? Prince Alec of Histak. Hystac. I don't know why that's the country's name, but that's the country's name. Oh, well. Let me see if I can grab it. Gimme. Ah! Can I make this bigger? Sure. This is ugly, but okay. Let me see if I can make it wider. Not really. Good enough. Okay. Histack for some reason. Just like the names in the other one, man. I don't know what it was with me and weird name. Is Pistack a nice place to live? Histack is the one they said was just trying to stay on everyone's good side, so I don't know what that means. Apologize for anything you think is necessary. If I was doing that, I wouldn't have said anything, Jared mumbled under his breath. Jackie kicked him in the shin. And for knocking his fighting, he finished in a hurry. That's it. Good, then you can go. Jared scrambled for his sword, stood up and shoved it in his hilt with great dignity, then took off in a dead run back to the palace. Jackie stared after him sternly until he was out of sight, then doubled over laughing. Oh, that was good. Sweet taste of victory. She held Jared's sword in the air with triumph. Didn't Jared just take his sword? He did. Anyways, why do you carry this thing if you don't know how to use it? That was an amazing display of loyalty there, and the way you learned how to maneuver the sword in such a quick hurry. What? You actually think I could do that in those few seconds that I had? Ha! I think you're avoiding my question. Why do you carry a sword if you don't know how to use it? I know how to use it, he snapped. Aha, and that's what the whole I'm not very good thing was about, right? I'm working on it, he mumbled, pride shattered. Aha, with those teachers of yours? Ha, I watched you train, they're horrible. They're the best in the kingdom. They're horrible. Oh, and I suppose you can do any better? Yep. Ha! Wanna see? Get me another sword and let's have a duel. I'll beat you badly. Alright, fine. Meet me here in 2 hours. She shook her head and laughed and then ran off towards the kitchen. Acrylic saying it's warm that is uncalled for. Part 2 of Fields of Green. The duel. Alex stumbled into the armory just in time to have a spear hurled at his head. He slammed the door and ducked. He watched as the point went right through the door, right above his head. He stood up and slowly opened the door. Why, good evening to you too, he said, pulling the spear out of the door. Oh, it's just you. Oh, it's just you, said a rather relieved, even though red-faced, Jared with a sword in his hand, ready to pounce. He put it away and sighed. I thought it was the demonic servant girl coming after me. Alex laughed. She's not that bad. Ha! She was defending you. Try being on the other end. You've got a point there. Yeah, so what do you want? I came in here looking for another sword. Why? Oh, nothing. Jared stuck the sword at Alex's throat. Tell me. Okay, fine, but first get that sword out of my face. You're starting to look like Jackie. Who's Jackie? Alex rolled his eyes. The servant girl who just whooped your... Yeah, I get it. What's the other sword for? No telling my father. He'd kill me. Jared rubbed his neck, remembering what Jackie had said. I won't tattle. Tell me. Alex suddenly thought of something. Jared was acting weird ever since Jackie got a hold of him. He was acting more like a good friend than a bad enemy. Tell me! He obviously didn't like secrets being kept from him. Jackie claims she can teach me to fight better than the teachers. Ha! They're the best in the kingdom. Everyone knows that. That's what I said. So she challenged me to a duel. If she wins, I guess she is better than those teachers and should teach me, right? Oh dear, not you. You wouldn't last a second against her. What is this, Jared trying to protect me? No way! I'm trying to get revenge. Huh? Let me do it. You know I'm better than you at this, and I want so bad to teach her a lesson. I can't let you, Alex said, turning towards the racks of weaponry on the wall. Why not? Because you'd harm her, he said, smiling over his shoulder. No, I wouldn't, if she doesn't get to you first. Jared crossed his arms and glared at Alex's back as the prince weighed a sword in his hand, trying to find one equally balanced to his. Please, Jared cried out, falling to his knees, putting his hands up in a pleading manner. I'm begging you. Okay, fine. Hey, where are your goons? Theo and Arcane. Jared threw up his hands in victory, then laughed. Goons! Ha! Those nerds! I ought to tell them that. Goons! That's good. In the 2 hours' time before the grand duel, half the palace had heard of it. Alex couldn't figure out if it was Jared or Jackie that had the bigger mouth. All of Alex's siblings showed up at the site, along with Jared and his 2 goons, nerds, and lots of the servants showed up, obviously from Jackie's side. 5 minutes before the appointed time, there was enough people watching to fill Alex's bedroom twice over. Note, Alex's bedroom was huge. When the clock struck 4, everyone held their breath and waited. Jackie wasn't there yet. Everyone has also heard that Jared, presumably the world's greatest swordsman, cough in asterisks, was beaten by a servant girl, and lots of Jared's little friends were cheering him on. Jackie showed up 2 minutes late. She smiled when she saw Alex, but then glanced around nervously at all the people gathered there. Alex, what's all this? He laughed as he handed her his sword. Jared has a big mouth, I guess. She looked at him, her eyes serious. Why'd you tell Jared? He felt like a hammer had just hit him on the head. Why hadn't he asked Jackie before inviting Jared? He felt like burrowing in the ground. Jared rescued him. Because I'm gonna do this, not him. What? Why? Her question was directed at Alex, but answered by Jared. Ha! You've seen him, haven't you? The worst swordsman ever on the face of the earth. We're supposed to be testing your skills, so... So you think you're better? Her eyes narrowed as she said it. She had never had a friend before, and Alex was as close to one that she'd ever had. She was not going to let this pig-nosed little... Of course! It's her only friend she's ever had. They've known each other like 30 minutes. That was it. Draw your sword, she said through gritted teeth. Alex's siblings cheered. He smiled to himself. Jackie was awesome! Jared jumped back, wondering if he should be afraid. He drew his sword and held it nervously in front of him. Jackie had an amazing mind. In 5 seconds of time, she envisioned the whole duel. She also knew, somewhere deep inside her, that all these people around were making Jared nervous. She decided to show off and dance a little. What is this like? Jackie's master, see 5 seconds into the future, Sherlock Holmes anime protagonist bullshit. Jared held himself in a defensive stance that almost made Jackie laugh. She twirled around and balanced perfectly on the tips of her toes. She sprang in the air and leapt to Jared's back. He thought he knew what she was up to and spun around to face her, but by then she was already on the other side. She was twirling and leaping all around him. Jared held his stance until he saw that it was useless. He put it down and sighed. Be serious, Jackie. She knocked the sword from his hand and tapped on his right shoulder with her sword. Gotcha, she said. You're dead. Shoot! That's not fair! Oh, really? Anyone else want to challenge me? Theo stepped up. That was a very unfair play, girl. I'll show you! He leapt from his chair and dived at her. She blocked his attack and slung him to the ground. Ben jumped into a full-fledged attack. Theo would make every move, with Jackie blocking them, flashing him an innocent smile each time he did so. They stayed in one spot, but Theo was always glancing over Jackie's shoulder and was pushing her backwards. Alex watched in horror as Jared grabbed his sword and ran at Jackie. He screamed, Jackie, catch! And tossed her the sword which had originally been hers. She jumped up into the air and grabbed it, while Jared tried to stop from charging into Theo, who stepped aside and watched the yellow fatling fly into a thorn bush. Wow, okay. Jackie landed then, after clinging to an overhanging tree for a while. Laughter at Jared's thorny self erupted around her as she began twirling both swords in the air, backing Theo into the thorn bush. He glanced behind him as she knocked his sword out of his hand and kicked him in the shoulder. You're dimf, she mumbled after catching Theo's sword in her mouth. Both Jared and his buddy were covered in thorns. Yeah, fatling apparently. Not proud of that. Just then, Arcane dived after her. She spun around while hearing, I won't let you do that to my friends, being shouted above her. She blocked his attack by making an X over her with the 2 swords, then pushed back on him. He stumbled backwards, but was still standing. Somehow she managed to keep Theo's sword in her mouth while she blocked each of Arcane's attacks. Finally, she feinted an attack to his right, and then hit his left wrist with the hilt of her sword, making him drop his sword. She caught it with her boot and kicked it upwards. She caught it with her left hand. This is so extremely inspired by all of the movies and cartoons I watched as a kid. Arcane stepped back to look at her. She was a very odd warrior. She had 2 swords in her left hand, one in her right and one in her mouth. He laughed, but was stopped when Alex walked onto the battlefield and took Theo's sword out of her mouth. "Thank you. Metal tastes disgusting. You should try it sometime," she said while Alex laughed. "I don't think there was any foul play here, do you think so? No? Good. I declare Jackie the winner." He grabbed her left wrist and lifted her arm up with his swordless hand. The crowd cheered. Jared put Alex's sword back in its hilt. Oh wait, no, that's supposed to be Jackie. Jackie put Alex's sword back in its hilt and handed Arcane's sword back. "You're rather good," she said. "Keep it up." Arcane was stunned. Why is his name Arcane? I don't understand. She walked over the thorn bush and helped Theo and Jared up. She put Theo's sword back in its hilt. "Good work. You're very loyal to your friends." Then she faced Jared, who was glaring at her. "But you definitely should work on concentration. Never lower your guard." She handed him his sword and turned back around. She began walking with Alex back to the palace. "So, when do you want to begin your lessons?" "Excuse me?" "I suppose you think I'm good enough now, right? That was the whole purpose, wasn't it?" Alex laughed. "You're right. I don't know. You're the teacher. You tell me." Jackie thought of herself. "How about I come to you whenever I'm free from kitchen duties?" "Oh, yeah. I forgot." Jackie kept walking, trying to sound sure of herself, but she knew deep down that something was wrong. Suddenly, from behind them, Jackie heard Jared mumble, "No one makes a fool of me and gets away with it." She whirled around and saw Jared running full speed ahead towards her, sword aimed like a spear. Jackie reached back to grab Alex's sword, but he was 2 feet away from where she thought he'd be. She spun back around to face her attacker, but it was too late to try for Alex's sword again. Jared was 2 feet ahead of her, sword pointed right at her heart. Bum, bum, bum! This is a lot of, epic sword fights. There are 6 parts to this. We're starting part 3. They just used the same picture for every single one, didn't they? I guess that's just its logo, I guess. How do you guys like it? I like how Jackie is basically not like other girls. She's like epic, amazing swashbuckling something. Still waiting for someone to get stabbed between parts. A lot of spinning. Yes, there's a lot of spinning and just ridiculousness. Fields of Green, Part 3. Teaching above your station. Time seemed to slow as Alex ran. It seemed to him that he had never gone slower in his life. He couldn't move 2 feet to push Jackie out of the way. Jared seemed to be moving faster than light, while Alex was going slower than a turtle. But then Jackie's challenging smile flashed into his mind as she jumped up and slammed the edge of her palm against where Jarek's neck connected to his shoulders. He fell in a heap onto Jackie, but he had dropped his sword. Time went back to normal. Alex fell to Jackie's side. "You killed him!" he shouted. He couldn't believe it actually sounded like an accusation. "Nah, just knocked him out for a few hours." "He really hates you." "Yep. Oh well, doesn't matter." "What did you do to him, out of curiosity?" Suddenly, Theo and Arcane were hoisting their leader upon their shoulders and taking him inside. "Man, oh man, they are so loyal to that guy," she sighed. "But they don't know that he wouldn't give a tiny copper coin for them, do they?" She looked sadly at Alex. "No, they don't, but you're avoiding my question." "What did I do to him? Oh, sorry, it's kind of embarrassing." "How can it be embarrassing?" "I didn't think it would work. That's humiliating to me." "Why?" "I think you're avoiding your own question now, if that's possible, that is." "I think it is. What did you do to him?" Well, I sneak into the palace library every night. Don't tell your parents, though. Don't the guards stop you? She giggled. Nope, I gave them some of Gigia's blueberry muffins every night, and they let me in without question. Who's Gigia? One of the messengers. She sneaks into the kitchen every night, too. I let her practice her recipes in there in return for a few muffins. That way I can give them to the guards so I can go and read books in there. Interesting cycle there, so what about it? They were walking back to the palace now. Well, I read a story in there about a girl who was a warrior. One of her secrets was to hit a person in that little corner of the neck and shoulder and paloink! Out they go! So you were just testing things out while your life was at stake? What's the big deal? If you had stayed put, I would have just blocked him with your sword, but no, you had to move. Back to the topic, why did you know to do that? Well, I figured I had about 3 seconds to live, so I might as well try to survive. It was the first thing that came to mind. Come to think of it, pushing you out of the way would have been more efficient, but oh well. Why push me out of the way? He was going after you. Oh, no, see, if I had just dodged, you would have been hit, because you were in front of me, so I just had to push you out of the way, and he would have run into a tree or something. Wouldn't he just stop? An object in motion tends to stay in motion, especially big objects. They both laughed. Why is every joke in this just about how fat this guy is? I hate it. Jackie, can I ask you something? Sure, what? Why were you, collecting, I think that's the best word for it, their swords? Oh, heh, I'm a scavenger, that's why. What's that mean? It means that I don't let things go to waste. If I'm out walking and I see something that I think is interesting, I keep it. If I just came out of a battle, I would go back and take all the shields, swords, and armor. She, is a loot goblin. Weird. Well, it might be for you. You don't sit in your room and wonder if you'll still be employed tomorrow. You do that? Yeah? Why? You do a good job, don't you? Well, let's just put it this way. If the people here didn't love me so much, I wouldn't be here. I thought you said they don't like you. My name is Jenny Bun now? Belle, that is not my name. That's not my name. It's not. Welcome to me reading, the Neopets fanfic I wrote when I was 11. She laughed. That's what the government wants you to believe, Alex. They love me. Every time I come running in late for my kitchen duties, everyone looks up and says, almost in unison, "Oh, it's just you, Jackie." But they're all smiling. Most of them sit there and watch me. It's kind of scary when you think about it. What? You're the direct opposite of me. You have people who love pretending to hate you, while I have people who hate me but love to pretend to love me just so they aren't destroyed. She shrugged. You could always use that to pull wonderful pranks, you know. 11-year-old Jaylee was immensely cringe. He gasped in horror. I would not use my power to do anything like that. She shook her head and laughed. You've got to lighten up, Alex. No, I don't. You need to be serious. She looked him over and laughed. You're right. We're opposites. Well, you know what they say. Opposites attract. That's probably why we're friends. It was all Jackie could do not to stop dead in her tracks and scream for joy. She'd never had a friend before. Never, ever, never in her whole life. She wanted to fling her arms around Alex and laugh hysterically, but she didn't want to scare away her friend. She settled for, I've never had a friend before. So she's super popular and everybody likes her to the point that no one cares that she sucks at her job and they let her get away with everything. But she's never had a friend before. Is she just too awesome for friendship or something? Me neither. Jackie couldn't stop herself. She stared at him, blinking. You never had a friend? Why not? He shrugged. People are either mean, like Jared, or too formal, like the rest of the world. No one is real with me. You act yourself around me, or at least I think you do. He cocked his head and looked at her skeptically. Although I spelled it septically, like... Anyways. She smiled wide and spread her arms out wide for examination. This is me. Then for added measure, she made an ugly face and crossed her eyes, then popped out her cheeks and tried to make herself look fat. And this is Jared! Why are they so mean to Jared? She's so cool, she calls the president anytime to make world peace, and then just goes psych and hangs up. Yeah, that's basically the vibe here. Hi, Moop. Alex laughed. If she was yellow and had a curly tail, she might have looked just like him. That's Jared, all right. She has Bill Gates on speed dial for tech support. Jackie enjoyed making her newfound friend laugh. She looked serious and walked stiffly. Hello, my name is Theo. I do whatever Jared wants. What? Coming, Jared, she said in a bored and flat voice. Alex laughed again. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they don't see that Jared doesn't care about them. When he gets in trouble, he lets them take all the blame, but yet they come to his rescue instantly. Yeah, it's almost sad that the goons, Theo and Arcane, don't know that he calls them names behind his back. You call them goons too? All the servants call them that. It's Jared and his 2 goons. Alex laughed. He calls them his followers. She shuddered. Weird. How'd you know he calls them names behind their backs? Because his maid tells your maid, who tells the guard, who tells the cook, who gossips to the other cook, who is eavesdropped on by me. There's a vast network of communication between you guys, isn't there? She laughed. The only interesting thing about working in the palace is all the gossip. Whatever you say is listened to by the workers around you, who will most definitely gossip about it to someone else, and by noon, the whole palace knows about it. You guys don't tell that stuff to my siblings or the nobles, right? She shook her head. Even if we tried, they wouldn't listen. He nodded. So when you think you'll be able to give me my first lesson? She thought about it a moment, then said, I don't know really. Oh, you better go back now. Your parents are probably going to be worrying their little royal heads off because you've been gone so long. Shoo! You're avoiding my question. No, I'm not. I told you I'd tell you when I could. Shoo! Alex started to leave, then stopped when Jackie called out, Don't tell anyone we're training together. Why? He turned around to face her. Because it's dangerous on my part. I could be arrested. What? Why? For teaching above my station, she said, stepping past him and walking toward the palace. Alex opened his mouth to say something, but decided against it and scurried off to his room. He knew his family wouldn't worry. They knew where he was. The whole palace knew where he was. He wondered as he scurried. He wondered if Jackie really could get arrested for teaching above her station. Everyone who watched the fight knew that Jackie was good and that she was going to train the prince. The thought of Jackie being taken away scared Alex. It scared him more than anything he'd ever been scared of before. What is this 11-year-old Jaylee logic? We are on part 4. Listen, I thought I had fever dreams. Is this better or worse than death or torture or worse? Which should be the real name of that story. Fields of Green, Part 4. The Hiding Place. Jared woke up in his room with Theo in a chair beside his bed and Arcane pacing back and forth around the room. He sat up straight, then fell back, grabbing onto his shoulder. What happened? You tried to destroy Jackie and she, What did happen, Theo? She hit you on your shoulder by your neck and suddenly you collapsed. Jared sat up slowly. How long have I been out? 4 hours, they said at the exact same time. Jackie, the servant girl? Oh, I oughta. Jared tried to climb out of bed, but Theo stopped him. Jared, you haven't fully recovered your strength. You can't request a rematch in this condition. Oh, I'm not requesting a rematch. I'm getting her arrested. For what? What she did to you was out of pure defense. You can't get her arrested for staying alive, can you? Arcane asked carefully. No, but I can get her arrested. For what? Theo finally got him back in bed. For teaching above her station. Jackie skipped into the kitchen. Oh wait, this is like scene change. Destroy? Who is a child trying to destroy a person? That is concerning work. Jackie skipped into the kitchen. Everyone in it ran up to her, all talking at once. Are you hungry? Good job! You showed him. Jared had it coming. Can you teach me that? Are you really a warrior who's just hiding her identity to protect herself? Are you gonna marry the prince? Jackie put her hands up and everyone was quiet. Oh, I'm using semicolons. No, thanks. I did, didn't I? Yep, he did. No, absolutely not. And I don't think so. Everyone was amazed she heard each of their questions. Suddenly, the crowd parted and the head cook walked straight up to Jackie. Hi, Jackie. What? Why? Theo's maid told me that Jared is planning on getting you arrested. For teaching above my station, she said to herself, but I haven't done it yet. Gigia stepped forward just then. Arcane's maid told me the same thing, and you know you're not important to Jared's class. They'll toss you in the dungeon without any thought. I know. I gotta go tell Alex. It's too risky. No, it's not. It's about dinner time. He always has his food brought up to him. I'll take it this time. Good idea, one of the people around her cheered. The head cook handed her his meal and gave her a push. Hurry! You were very concerned about teachers being suppressed. So I think this is entirely because of the movie Ever After, where they talk about how she could get arrested for dressing above her station, which was a real thing in medieval Europe. But like, I just took the word dressing and replaced it with teaching and was like, there you go. It works the same way, right? Alex stumbled down the hallway, remembering what Jackie had said about the communication that goes around the palace. He turned to the two guards that constantly stood outside his door and asked, okay, you two, Jackie says there's a giant gossip chain around here. What's the current updates? The guards glanced nervously at each other. The one on the left said, Jackie's gonna be arrested. Alex's mouth fell open. By who? The Kiko, which were these cute little round water creatures. These! The Kiko on the right said hesitantly, Jared, he's really mad at her. Alex took a deep breath. I'll stop it. You can't. Your parents have heard about the duel today, and they don't approve of Jackie hanging around you. They'll be all for it. Alex shook his head a little, trying to get it all straight. Tell Jackie to hide. The Peofin, which I think is a penguin. Oh, it's a water Pegasus. The Peofin on the left said, the head cook is trying to hide her. I suggested your room, but everyone knows that's the first place she'd go. They sent the water gremlins to take her out. He shook his head sadly. This is insane. I never knew having a friend would be this hard. Thanks for the info. Anything else? Yes, Jackie's coming with your dinner. Don't make a big deal about it either. It's supposed to look like a regular girl is sick and Jackie has to do it. Alex suddenly realized he was hungry and remembered the shy little flotsam, which is a fish. I am very sure this is a fish. It's a dolphin! And remembered the shy little flotsam who used to bring his meals to him. Right, see you guys. He fell down on his bed and tried to figure out where to hide her. The more he thought about it, the more he realized he hadn't explored half of the palace. He decided right then and there that once everything was settled, he was going to explore every inch of this castle. Jackie knocked on the door. Your Highness, I have brought your dinner. Polly's sick today, so I'm bringing it. Can I come in? Enter, said Alex in the most regal voice he could muster. Yeah, Flotsam is sea junk. It's also the name of one of Ursula's companions. Ursula's eels are named Flotsam and Jetsam. Jackie came in and shut the door. She ran to his side, setting the tray on the chest at the foot of his bed. Alex, Jared's going to arrest you, I know. How'd you? The guards told me. Good. You've got to hide. Everyone keeps saying that. Well, you should. I just don't know where you should. I do. Where? It's a secret place. No one knows about it but me. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Alexia? Alexia? Came a screeching shrill voice. Oh, sorry. Alexia? Alexia? Came a screeching shrill voice from the other side of the door. Alex cringed. Who is it? Called Alex, but he already knew it was the little starry Loop with her screeching voice and her sickening comments. It was the Duchess's daughter, Skyra. A Loop, I think, is just another kind of dog, Neopet. Yeah! It's Skyra, dear Alexia. May I come in? Jackie dashed under the bed. Sure, I guess, called Alex after pushing a bit of curly red hair under the bed. Skyra came in and quickly shut the door behind her. Where's Jackie? She's got to hide! Alex was surprised at the deep and rather gentle voice that he... Wait. Okay. Where's Jackie? She's gotta hide. Alex was surprised at the deep and rather gentle voice that he was hearing. Skyra, are you sure that's you? Yes, it is. I hate Jared. I loved it when Jackie whooped him and his goons today. Where is she? I have a plan. Jackie crawled out from under the bed. What's the plan? Skyra jumped at the sight of her. Oh my. Well, see, I have arranged for you to be employed at my mother's castle, but you can't leave until next week. You have to hide until then, but, she laughed rather nervously, I don't know of any hiding spaces. What is it with you people? I know millions of good hiding places, and neither of you know one? Well, follow me. Jackie jumped up and dashed for the door. Alex and Skyra stumbled behind. Imagine your name being garbage. Your parents never loved you, and that name is a reminder. All that makes me think of is the meme that's like, you have two sons, you name one Simba, and the other, or you have one named Mufasa, and the other is named Scar. She took them outside to the front of the palace. When you look at it from the front, there is a grand stone door with two marble statues of Eries. Those are definitely the ones that look like eagles. The one on the left with its front paw facing everyone looking, and then the one on the right with its hands in an X shape over its chest. There was a great stone wall that ran along the grounds of the palace, so it almost looked like a castle set atop a huge cake, with a beautiful marble steps leading up to the front of the cake. There was a beautiful garden that ran along the wall. Jackie was leading them along the left-hand side of the stairs, through the garden. The garden had a row of equally spaced gloamberry trees that they had to weave through, and at their feet were blumps and eucalias, while up the walls were spine and ring vines. I have a feeling these are all Neopets things. She stopped in front of a gloamberry tree and ate one of the berries. Skyra and Alex both gasped. Jackie, you might as well be dead now. Why? Jackie shrugged. Everyone knows that gloamberries are poisonous, Alex shouted at the top of his lungs. Jackie laughed a trilling, melodic laugh. Ha 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 ha! You people, you just don't trust what you don't understand. What is this song? They kept walking, and Jackie stopped just before she almost stepped on some donkey-doos. Here we are, she proclaimed. Here we are what? Skyra asked, glancing disapprovingly down at the donkey-doos. Is that just tomato logic? Okay, you two, you'll need to remember this place. Just travel left until you see the donkey-doos, then eat 2 and only 2 gloamberries. No way are you getting me to eat those vile things, Skyra shrieked, flinching as she pointed to a gloamberry tree. Okay, what the hell is a gloamberry tree? What is a gloamberry? Ah. Literally, did I make this up? There are no gloamberries in Neopets. Okay, so I made up a berry that grows on a tree. Oh, nonsense. I haven't died, have I? It takes a week for it to take effect, Alex noted. No. Gloamberries are very helpful. They'll only kill you if you don't void out the effects in a week. To do so, pry one of the orbs off of an orb plant and eat that. Yes, the orbs from an orb plant are poisonous, but if you eat it within a week of eating a gloamberry, you'll be fine. You have to trust me. She held out 2 gloamberries each to Skyra and Alex. Alex took a deep breath and decided to be brave. He took 2 of the berries and ate them. Wow, they're sour. He shook his head violently and then swallowed. But they taste like strawberries and lemon afterwards. Now, Alex, look at the wall beside us. Wow, there's a door here! Gloamberries enhance your ability to learn, your ability to see, and they make you run faster. They probably have other properties, but I've only noticed those 3. Skyra took the other 2 berries and ate them. Then Jackie showed them how to press their hand into the small area that they could now see, marked by being raised just a few molecules. A few molecules, huh? A door-sized portion of the wall swung open to reveal a dark passageway with a lit torch on the wall. Why does she have this knowledge? By what metric does she know all of this? Is she from a family of herbalists? Okay, Jackie is clearly perfect. She is the ultimate, does it count as a Mary Sue? Probably. She's just not like other girls. She's good at everything. She can sword fight for some reason. She, is brave enough to try eating poisonous plants and learn their secret properties. I don't know, man. Hurry, 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 get in there! Alex and Skyra scrambled into the passageway just as the door swung shut. Sorry about that, I forgot to tell you, you have an average of 6 seconds to get in here before the door closes. If it does close on you, just press the pad again and it'll open. She's already 11 years old, of course she has all of this experience. Oh no, I'm out of soda. Boo. Hold on, I drink water. Where does this lead? Asked Alex in amazement. Follow me and I'll show you. Jackie took the torch down and led the way down the passageway. It started out straight and level, but soon it was turning uphill to the right. They saw light at the end of the tunnel after a long time of walking. Jackie laughed at Alex and Skyra's exhaustion and ran the rest of the way. Alex walked a little faster, but Skyra, being her normal, I've been spoiled all my life self, refused to move the slightest bit faster. When I was 11, I remember being able to fly and read minds, you know, normal kid stuff. What Alex saw when he finally caught up to Jackie amazed him. There was a room with stone shelves on all the walls and 2 seats in front of 2 circle-shaped windows looking out onto the palace lawn. There was a seat beside those with a hand-shaped pad in front of it, just like the one used to get in. Okay. Along the shelves were all sorts of odds and ends. Where are we? Skyra asked when she finally caught up with them. Inside the eyrie on the left. I think it was set up to be where part of the army was kept, built back during the war days. Why do you think that? Easy, watch through the eyes. She pointed to the 2 chairs in front of the windows. She jumped into the seat and put her hand on the pad. An aqua-colored beam shot out from the eyrie's upraised paw and left a big burned hole in the ground. So she found their death laser, and she's been hiding in it and using it as like her secret fort. Wow, cried Alex. Alex, Skyra, listen to me. If the palace is ever under attack, drag the royal family in here. Shouldn't this be information that she had shared when she found this place? Instead of just like randomly to her 2 friends? Alex nodded. Skyra turned on her heel toward the long tunnel, her voice going back to its screechity again. I don't much like to hang around servants. She walked briskly down the tunnel, taking the torch with her. Alex turned to Jackie. I'll bring you some food later, Kay? You just stay in here. I don't know what would happen if Jared found you. Alex is the true protag here. All the girls love him. He has an actual story arc with character growth, and he is going on one hell of an adventure. He is the protagonist. Like, at the beginning, it was about him. She laughed, but tears were shining in her eyes. You'll have to go clean out all my secret areas, and you'll have to tell Gigia that she can't practice in the kitchen anymore, and you have to tell the guards that there are no more blueberry muffins coming, and you'll have to tell Polly and Sheeta, my roommates, that the room will be cleaner, and you'll have to tell the head cook she has to find another obnoxious Kiri to bring in spoiled cabbage and eat the good carrots, and she plunged her head into her hands and began sobbing. Jackie, come here. He went and sat down beside her. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I really don't want to leave. What if I never see you again? Oh, you'll see me again. It'll only be a matter of time before my father has to go on some diplomatic mission to the Duchesses, so I'll just tag along to see you and Skyra. You know, she's not as bad as I thought she was. I wouldn't count on that. She likes you. What's that supposed to mean? She talks to herself. She pretends she's talking to you, and she's dancing around the room with the coat rack, pretending it's you. You've got to be kidding. Nope. She'll probably act any way that you'd want her to, as long as you like her. He shivered. That's so freaky, it's gross. Alex shrugged and looked Alex over. Although, I don't know what she sees in you. She began laughing at the frowning Alex. Did you know that when you frown, your head looks like a heart? Not funny. A heart? Jackie kept laughing. Keep laughing. Oh, it'll keep your mind off of leaving. I've gotta go. I'll try and settle this thing with Jared, and then you can come back, okay? Gotcha, she said as she climbed up onto one of the shelves and began reading a book that was up there. Alex took the torch and went back down the passageway. All of this is just Alex tripping real hard on some mushrooms and 11-year-old failure logic. That is freaky. Pretty sure doing that repeatedly is a sign, big red flag. Girl be cray. Yeah. Yeah. She's the rival for love, I think. Part 5. The search for Jackie. The thing with Jared was never settled. Soon it wasn't just the thing against Jared, but it was against Alex's parents too, the king and queen. They obviously did not approve of their son mingling with commoners, as they put it. Jared cooled off after a few days, but his father never did. Somehow, the governor of the northeastern province found out that his son and his 2 friends were whooped by a girl. He was enraged and came to eliminate her himself. But when he heard it was a servant girl and that she was hiding, he tore his room apart. Jared's dad tore his room apart? Jackie was having doubts that the Duchess would allow her to stay there, seeing as though everyone in the whole country, who was of noble birth, and therefore the only people that really mattered, was against a commoner being better than a noble. I don't know why these are in scare quotes. Alex felt as though his eyes had been opened. He realized suddenly that everything Jackie had said about no one listening to her because of her station, and how she could be arrested for sharing her knowledge, he knew it had to stop. But he also knew that the bottom of the totem pole was not the place to try and change all of it, especially when his best and only friend was in danger. They have known each other less than a single day. They've known each other like an afternoon. The week passed by all too swiftly. Jackie came out of her hiding space and gasped in horror at the carriage. It was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen, but Jackie had this feeling about it, and so far her feelings had never betrayed her. Alex, don't let me go, she pleaded. If I do, you'll never see me again. I'll never come back. You're crazy, Jackie. No, I'm not. I knew something was wrong when Jared lunged himself at me. I knew something was wrong when I was 8 years old and a bookcase almost fell on me. I know when things are wrong. It's just something I do, and I know that if I get in that carriage, I'll be gone and lost forever. While Alex tried to convince Jackie that nothing would happen, Skyra was talking to the driver. I don't like that girl. She feels too much. She's right, though. You know the plan. The driver nodded and Skyra handed him a bag of gold. For your trouble, she said, then turned to face Jackie and Alex. Come now, Jackie. Nothing's going to happen to you. It's perfectly safe. It got here safely, didn't it? It's not going to crash or anything. Mary Sue has prophetic powers, too? She has the like, gut feeling thing that, like, roguish characters do in movies. Jackie shook her head violently. That's not what I'm worried about. She whirled around to face Alex again. I don't know what it is, but it's not the safety of the carriage. Don't make me go. Hush, you're gonna make people come running out here, and then I'll never see you again. You'll never see me again if you make me go, either. Finally, Jackie agreed to go. But it took at least an hour. As she was being driven off, Alex was running beside her, shouting things at her. Jackie laughed and told him to go back, that he couldn't go with her. I wish I could, he shouted as he dropped behind. I will see you again, Jackie. I will. When he reached the palace again, Skyra leaned up next to him and said, I guess it's just you and me now, isn't it? Oh wait, I guess it's just you and me now, isn't it? In her whiniest, high-pitched voice ever. Skyra made Alex nervous. ... 2 months after, a problem arose in the Duchess's area of ruling. Alex asked if he could come, and his father beamed with happiness and rambled on and on about finally taking interest in his station. Alex almost wanted to laugh and shout, I'm not going for the experience, I'm going for my best friend, just to get him to shut up, but he knew if he did that, the Jackie's cover would be blown. When they reached the castle, Skyra was waiting to greet them. She ran out and hugged Alex. I'm so glad you came. Where's Jackie? He whispered into her ear. He stood back and looked at her. Her face was twisted with an expression of one who had bad news. She wasn't right. Tell me Jackie wasn't right about never making it here. Alex was panicking. You'd better come with me. Skyra grabbed his ear just like Jackie had before, which made Alex want to cry. Jackie was right, he thought. She was right, and I didn't bother to listen. I'm just as bad as every other person of nobility. I'm so stupid. Skyra led him to a place where no one could hear them. Jackie's not here. She was, right? Why didn't you tell me earlier? She's not here because... What? Tell me. She was too close to you. What do you mean? She was invading my territory. Skyra, you didn't send her away, did you? Did you? Skyra was crying now. I regret I did it now, but I paid the driver to send her to a city far, far away in nowhere land and dump her off. I didn't want you to see her again because I was in love with you and I knew that you liked her. She was my friend, Skyra, not my girlfriend. Skyra's eyes burned with anger at Jackie, and her voice took on a deep and evil tone. She would have if I'd let her stay with you. She didn't deserve that space. I did. She was a lowly peasant girl. Alex had already walked away. He wished he had listened to Jackie. Listened to her when she said she didn't trust Skyra. Listened when she had told him that she'd never see her again. And more than ever, he wished he'd listened to her pleas. Skyra was just another person who looked down on Jackie because of her station. It's not right, something said inside of Alex. It's not right and you know it. You should do something about it. But what could he do? No one ever listened to him. Later that night, he went to see Skyra. Do you really regret what you did? Yes, she said, looking at the ground in shame, her voice being normal and not the high squeakiness she usually used. Why? Because it makes you sad. Alex could see a tear fall from her eyes. Oh, stop crying. I know of a way we can get her back. Skyra's face lit up. Really? How? Alex remembered how Jackie said that Skyra would do anything for him. You and me travel to the palace where you had your driver leave her, and then we find her and bring her back. Sounds like a plan. We can leave tomorrow morning. Sounds good. Start packing. Hey, where'd you say you sent her anyway? The capital city of Lapil. Alex's eyes went wide and his mouth dropped open. Are you insane? With a million exclamation points. What? I wanted a place where I knew you wouldn't look. Did you ever see your driver again? Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Because people who go there are never seen from again. That's why. Skyra shook her head. Remember what Jackie said about being afraid of what you don't understand? Maybe people just choose not to come back. Now, why would they do that? King Olkan's evil! Skyra shrugged. I don't know, just thinking out loud. You really sent Jackie to Armistad? Yes, she'll be fine. Leave her alone. Alex turned and walked out of the room, thinking of how in the world they would get into that dark and gloomy land, find Jackie, and get out before something happened to them. He sat in his room and thought about it, coming up with nothing. He looked at maps of Lapil and tried to find a way around main roads and big cities that were known for strong warriors, but none of it would work, and he knew it. Either he'd never see Jackie again, but live, or he could see Jackie and possibly be stuck in that desolate world forever. Eric! Hi. 11-year-old has some extreme grudges against aristocracy. Okay, I was constantly, watching movies and reading fantasy books about, princesses and stuff, and then their, common-born friends are the ones that, do things. That is a strong theme in a lot of, Disney movies, too. Is the whole, the commoner girl versus, you can't marry a prince because you're just a servant girl or whatever. But hi, Eric, we are reading my Neopets fanfic from when I was 10. Or 11. I think I was 11 in 2001. I need to drink more. My voice is getting very dry, and it's making my lisp worse. How did the driver make it? He wondered to himself. He asked Skyra who her driver was, and Alex went up to talk to him. How did you get through Lapil without being harmed? Luck, I suppose. I find that hard to believe. Listen, you left my best friend in the most horrible place on the face of Neopia. Now I'm gonna get her back. Tell me how you did it. Well, there was a group of bandits who attacked me on the way out. How'd you get rid of them? Gave them some of the Neo points Skyra paid me. That makes sense. You're a prince, right? Just carry some Neopoints and such, and pay anyone who tries to hurt you. Most people take that and go. Thanks for the help. Alex felt like he had some sense of assurance. Even if it was sort of cheating. He told all this to Skyra, and she said she'd go get some jewels and Neopoints. You are reading and I am doing dishes. Seems like a simple 50s life! Except I'm a jellyfish VTuber on the internet reading this nonsense. Although, I suppose in this scenario, you would be the wife, Eric. The next morning, Alex and Skyra got ready to go. They were going to be dressed in plain traveler's clothes, and they weren't going to take very many things with them. Skyra was rather put out over this, but they were going to be riding 2 of the unis in the Duchess's stable. Which is really funny to me because they're horse, they're like unicorn Neopets, but they're fully sentient, just like the Neopet characters, so they're like riding other people. And I'm an undead parent who staggers from his grave every day to be that parent. Eric, you're amazing. 11-year-old Jaylee beat us over the head about how wrong it way for Alex to give Neopoints to bandits of a lower station. It's a kink thing? Ayo! As they were riding out the gate, Alex heard someone shouting behind them. He told Skyra to stop, and they turned to see who was shouting at them. It was the driver. Wait, hold on, he shouted. I didn't take her to Lapil, he cried out at the top of his lungs. What? Skyra was enraged. You mean you didn't do as I commanded? No, and I'm sorry, but I didn't want you two to go into Lapil. It's dangerous. Where did you leave her? Alex asked, relieved they wouldn't have to brave the harsh land. I drove her to the outskirts of Nova, and then I just left her beside the road. You didn't even leave her in a city? Alex was trying to keep himself from shouting. No, Your Highness, I'm sorry about that too. I gave her some food and 3 coins. 3? Alex couldn't stop himself this time. You know perfectly well you can't leave a girl out in the middle of nowhere with nothing. 3 coins isn't even enough to buy a loaf of bread. I wasn't thinking. No, you weren't. Alex nodded to Skyra. To Nova, he shouted as he rode off at high speed. Skyra wasn't prepared for that, and she tried to get her uni to move. To Nova, she shouted. Hey, come on. The driver chuckled. That won't work. How do we get him to move, then? How do you get stuck with the most stubborn horse we own? To get him to stop, say, cut it out, you. But to get him to go, you have to do this. The driver took a big breath and shouted with all the volume he could muster. Get moving, you lazy oaf, or I'll feed you to the Monosiraptor. That got the uni moving. Skyra caught up with Alex in no time at all. One day, Jaylee will be able to read through my typos. When they reached the place the driver had told them he left her, Alex began looking around. Okay, if I were Jackie, where would I have gone? To the nearest city? No, this is Jackie. She probably chased the carriage halfway across the planet, throwing rocks at it. Skyra couldn't help but laugh. Well, it is what she'd do, but then she would have come back, and then what? She would have gone to the nearest city. Where's the nearest city? Skyra looked around her. Over there. She pointed to a few buildings to the east. I bet you would try there first. Alex nodded and they rode towards the tiny village. Wait, didn't you say the unis are not only sentient? Yeah, they are! They are, they're just as much a person as the other characters in the story. So wait, none of these characters are human? The Neopets are enslaving each other to fuel their old medieval society? Yeah, there are no humans in this, it's all Neopets. It's like way long ago, before there were ever people in Neopia. Just think, you inspired untold thousands of people to become furries! You were immortalized in word and lore. No! No! That is not my legacy! That is not my legacy! I rebuke that! Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on me! No! Neopets did that on its own. I had no part in that! No! 11 Eric, I thought you loved me. And let's not forget that furries which have Neopets as a foundation are especially bad. Are they? Neopets did that. I did not do that. I was an innocent 11-year-old writing a cute little story with cute little animals. Okay, I don't even want to hear about it. Anyways, we have a story to read. No one knew of a red-headed Kiri there. No one did in the next village they tried, or the next, or the next. They covered every possible place she could have been on both sides of the border. There was nothing. They finally went back after 2 weeks, and they tried to get back to their normal lives. Skyra snapped back into normality perfectly, but Alex never did. When he worked on his fighting with his teachers, he remembered Jackie telling him they were horrible teachers and that she could have done better. When he saw Jared, he remembered how he had tried to attack Jackie. When he saw anyone working at the palace, he remembered Jackie saying that the network of communication, saying about that. And every time he saw the eerie statue, he thought of the secret passageway that leads to it. Years went by. 6 to be exact. Alex was 17, and the only one in his family who hadn't been married yet. His parents were always nagging at him about getting married, and they often sent him to visit available girls that they thought he should be with. He would go and be as polite as possible to those he visited, but he would always come home and think about what life would have been like if Jackie were there. 6 years, and she still hadn't left his mind. Okay. He knew her for literally, I think, 2 weeks, and then she left. 2 months later, they find out that she has been abandoned somewhere with no money in the middle of nowhere. They go to look for her, and they look for, how long did it say? They looked for 2 weeks. Couldn't find her, so they just gave up and went home. It was 2 days at first, but then there was, it was like, it took time to arrange for her to leave and, like, escape or whatever and go in the carriage where she got dumped somewhere. That took time. It came time for him to go visit another young lady. It was some girl named Eladia, who was 2 years older than he was. The first day he arrived, Eladia came up to him and said, "Look, I don't want to marry you, so don't get your hopes up." Alex looked relieved. "Thank you, I get shipped off to these things all the time, but I'm not looking for a wife either." Eladia smiled and said, "Good, I'm in love with a young man who works here. You can go to your room, and when my parents think we should go do something, I'll send someone to call for you, okay?" Alex nodded and followed a short man who showed him his room and brought his things. As the man was leaving, Alex asked if he could have lunch in his room because he was starving from the trip, and that's what they did back home. The man nodded and left. Less than 5 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. "Come in," he said. It was a Kiri about his age. His heart felt torn in two as he saw she had straight blonde hair, and that she wouldn't look up so he could see if she had green eyes. "Your lunch, sir," she said in a quiet voice. Then she went to stand beside the door. Alex wasn't used to this. She stood there, watching his every move. He tried to act like it didn't bother him, but it did. It bothered him greatly. When he had finished eating, the girl came and picked up his tray. She walked to the door, then set the tray down on a table and ran over to him, fell down on the floor in front of him and looked into his eyes with her own tear-filled emerald green ones. "Alex, it's me!" So she was here, like, the whole time, I guess. It's been 6 years, and he finally found her. This isn't the Neopets I remember. Hi, Mads! Fields of Green, Part 6. Found. Alex couldn't get over those bright green eyes. "Jackie?" He didn't realize he was whispering, but his voice was fading. He was at a loss for words. "Yes, it's me. But you have blonde hair." "Oh, sorry." The girl reached up and pulled off a blonde wig, showing beautiful red curls below. "Better?" Alex's loss of words was gone, replaced with a million questions. "Why are you covering up your hair? What happened? How'd you get here? Did you miss me? How'd you know I'd be here?" Jackie opened her mouth to say something, but there was a knock on the door. "Ack! You didn't tell them to bring your lunch in here, did you?" "Yes, I did. I thought you..." Jackie dashed under the bed, just like she had all those years ago. "Come in." Alex tried to sound regal. A little Aisha came in and placed his tray in front of him, then left. "I knew it was weird when you stayed in here. Come on out, it's safe." Jackie crawled out from under it and picked up the tray. "Can I have this? The food they give us is horrible." She sat on the edge of his bed and took a bite out of a roll. Ah, heaven. Okay, first of all, the people here in Nova think that red hair is a bad omen, and no one would hire me except a man who owned an inn. I knew that the only chance I'd ever have of seeing you again would be if I worked at the home of a noble, so I saved for a wig of a different color. Sorta weird, I know, but it worked. I was a cook's helper here, just like I was at the palace. Well, once they heard I'd worked at the palace, they hired me immediately. And yes, I missed you the whole time. Alex smiled. You're coming back with me. Jackie winced. Are you sure that's a good idea? No, but I'm desperate, and you still haven't taught me anything. Jackie smiled and said, Okay, I'll go back with you. Alex told the lady's parents that he needed to return home, and they reluctantly let him go. He told them he wished to take Jackie home with them, and the lady's father said, Go ahead, she shows up late for her duties, talks constantly, and complains about the food. Take her away. When Alex told this to Jackie, she just shrugged and said, No different from the palace, huh? When Alex showed up earlier than he was supposed to, the king and queen were hoping things had gone better than they hoped and that he would show up with a wife. The carriage pulled up in front of the castle and Alex stepped out and then leaned back into it and said, It's all right. They've probably forgotten by now. The king and queen glanced nervously at each other, but then their faces brightened when they saw him draw a woman's hand from the carriage and a girl's head pop out of the carriage. So, this is Eladia, mumbled the king. They were both very hopeful until they saw that the girl was dressed in servant's clothes. The queen almost fainted as the king's eyes grew wide. Jackie winced when she saw them. Are you sure they've forgotten? Alex nodded. Just then a fat yellow Mincy, who is a monkey, came out to greet them. So, Alex back is he? He was holding the arm of a starry loop who nodded, then screamed. What is it? Jared stopped when he saw her. You, he said in loud yet pure horror. Skira, I thought you got rid of her. Skira winced. I thought I did. Jackie turned to Alex, her eyes laughing, but her face trying to look serious. Darn you, Alex, for not carrying a sword. Alex couldn't help but laugh. Jared came over and stood right in front of Jackie. Why'd you come back? Alex stood right in between Jackie and Jared. Because I brought her here. Jared stared at Alex with a threatening look. I'll deal with you later. Jared turned on his heel and began walking away, but Jackie popped her head out from behind Alex and shouted, I'm sure I can always shove you in a thorn bush again if you do anything to him. Skyra giggled as Alex and Jackie were laughing harder than ever. The king and queen glanced at each other uncertainly. Alex felt as though a piece of his life had just been put back where it should have been. Jackie taught him how to master the sword, which came easier to him when she was teaching it, and anytime Jared got annoying, Jackie would either challenge him, and win, or she'd just look at Jared and he'd scurry off. Alex got Jackie a real room in the palace, and everyone treated her like they did Alex, or else, except his parents. They didn't like Jackie hanging around him as much as she did. They wanted Alex to have real friends that were important. Jackie could easily forget these comments. She was used to it, and as long as she was in the palace, she was happy. And as long as she was happy, Alex was happy. But the dream world of happiness that they were living in was soon to end. Bum, bum, bum. Fields of Green, which I feel like should be its own part or something. We're under attack? Jackie asked with horror. How can this? I don't know, but we've got to do something. My gosh, do you ever listen? Remember the Eyrie? Alex gasped. Yes, I'll go get my family. This is their death laser that is like in a statue that like no one knew about until Jackie found it. When the royal family was assembled, everyone was shouting, What's going on? And where are we going? And we're going outside? Jackie led them silently through the garden. Then she and Alex ate some gloamberries to the astonishment of the royal family, and opened the door. It took 3 tries before the whole group was in. They all got comfortable inside as Jackie and Alex started shooting at the enemy with the hand. Alex would say when to shoot, and Jackie would do the actual shooting. Why does a medieval palace have a death laser? You're asking the wrong question. Because lasers are cool. Exactly. They did that for several hours, until every one of the attackers had either ran off and hid, or was a lump of ashes in front of the palace. Every time they shot, Alex's family would cheer. The king and queen were having second thoughts about if Jackie was really as bad as they thought. After danger cleared, they all came out of the passage and began walking back to the palace, but were stopped as 6 of their attackers jumped out in front of them and charged towards them. Jackie reached back to grab Alex's sword, then frowned as she realized he didn't have it. She spun back around and kicked one of them in the stomach, making them drop their weapon. A spear, not her specialty. She spun the spear around so it looked like a propeller, and she knocked two of them over with it. She grabbed both their swords and threw the spear as far as she could. She tossed one to Alex and said, "You can do it!" as she spun back into attacking two of them, while Alex started on just one. Jackie had already had one down, and so she was now fighting with two swords. What is her... She always just, gathers weapons and fights with all of them. The first man with the spear was now running at Alex, but he was turned around so he didn't see. Jackie was preoccupied, but she jumped up and kicked the man she was fighting square in the face. He fell over, but wasn't defeated. She pushed Alex out of the way, which made both of the attackers collide. With Jackie and Alex both laying on the ground, their weapons slung away from them, the three remaining attackers surrounded them, shouting something in another language. "Ruddick, a boy! Ruddick, a boy!" Suddenly there were at least 50 attackers surrounding them. Jackie closed her eyes and tried with all her might to remember the magic she had come out of practice of. It worked. She was holding two swords. She pressed one into Alex's hand and whispered, "Good luck." She has magic now? She suddenly has magic powers to summon swords, I guess? Jackie and Alex stood up and prepared themselves to be beaten. They knew there was absolutely no way they could survive this, what with just 2 of them and 53 of them. "Buzz off, you losers!" Everyone looked up and saw a fat yellow Mincy, followed by a gold Shoryu and a skunk Kachik. "Jared and his goons," Jackie said with relief. "I couldn't let them get you, Jackie. That's my job." Jackie winked at her as Jackie laughed. They had a chance now. Jared took the left, Theo took the right, Jackie took the front, and Arcane took the back, and Alex tried to watch all their backs at once. Very difficult job. It's a very difficult job. Jackie was collecting weapons the whole time, throwing some like javelins, sometimes just tossing the excess weapons to the other members. Soon her side was completed and she went to help Alex. Theo was next to finish, and he went to help Jared. Arcane was done, so he helped Jared while Jackie and Alex helped with defense. Soon they were all defeated, and cheers were erupting from all over the palace. It seemed that while they were fighting, everyone in the entire palace had come down to watch. So they're under attack by 53 people, and they just watch as 6 teenagers fight the mob. Where is the army? Where are the guards? They all came down to watch 6 teenagers, doing something. It was a patch update to the game and added magic, so she now has 2 power patches. Some real Vegeta energy. Where are these children's parents? Yes. "What were they shouting before they attacked you?" asked Jared. "Rudek, a boy, I think. I don't know what it means, though," admitted Alex. "I do. They were saying, 'Back up, emerge, back up, emerge.' I guess they had a whole bunch of soldiers hiding in the trees and stuff. They were smart. We weren't careful." The group of heroes nodded as the mob of people swarmed in around them. Everyone was shouting things, but only Jared and his goons seemed to enjoy it. Jackie and Alex slipped away from the crowd and wandered back into the palace to be alone now that the whole palace was empty. They went to Alex's room, where Jackie was laughing about Jared's excuse for helping. "Like I needed help, but..." Jackie tried to look proud, but ended up laughing. "You're amazing. You know that, Jackie?" Jackie stopped laughing and eyed him skeptically. "What's that supposed to mean?" Alex sat down on the bed, and Jackie sat down beside him. "Jackie..." "What?" She smiled at him with her sparkling green eyes. Alex frowned. There was no way he could do this with her smiling at him. "Stop that." "Stop what?" She was obviously confused. "Stop smiling at me like that so I can get this out." "You're not sending me away, are you?" Her eyes were filled with pure horror. No. I want you to stay forever. Marry me." Jackie's mouth fell open and she looked just like a little kid. Alex smiled. "Please?" Jackie hung her head. "You know your parents would never go for something like that." "Yes, we would." They both looked up to see the queen smiling at them. "You put on quite a display out there, and Alex needs to marry." Alex frowned deeply at his mother, hoping that if he wished hard enough, he could just wish her away. "Really?" Jackie said, crying. Alex turned quickly to look at her, seeing her face of joy, but her eyes of sadness. He learned to trust her eyes more than her face, for she couldn't hide anything in those fields of green. "What's wrong?" he asked. "A prince marrying a servant girl? What's wrong with that?" Jared asked as he popped his head in the door. "Why is Jared there?" Jackie smiled at Alex. "Absolutely nothing." The end. The end. And they all lived happily ever after. What'd you guys think? Was it everything you ever wished it could be? This is my wait, are we not going to address the wider implications of the palace being invaded? Nope. And we don't even know who it was that knew the language or who the people were attacking. It's just like, oh, they attacked. And now it's over. There seems like some really heavy geopolitics at play. Jaylee Neopet Story 2, now with Kung Fu Grip. Awaken a new generation of furries. Fulfill your destiny. Get fucked, Eric! Neopets inspired furries, all on their own. I had nothing to do with this.